we know each other for about 13 years, and we both had our separate projects. Loga had his project called Axiom of Choice, and I had a project called VAS. And for many years we talked about doing something together, and we just didn't know what, and we were afraid to do something that would be too similar to the projects we already had. So that's why the idea for Niyaz came. It was just perfect, you know, something that's very different from what both of us did in the past. I was born in Iran, but I grew up in India since I was 4 years old. I was there for 11 years, so I had a strong influence from Indian culture as well, and Indian music. And it's so close in many ways, especially the Urdu, the poetry and the...
Even musically. First of all, there are a lot of great musicians that live in Los Angeles, and that's something we've been blessed by. You know, having, you know, Satnam Ramgatra, who's the tabla player, lives there. Dimitri Mathis, who's from Greece, he lives there. You know, of course, Carmen, and so that.
The idea for us was that, you know, we look at our generation, for example, of Iranians, you know, who are growing up outside of their country, and for them it's really hard to relate to the music and traditions of their parents, because it's that they're living in a different world now. So we really wanted to do something where we took those traditional elements but brought it into a more modern setting, but in a way that it doesn't become like pop music, in a way that you're still preserving the integrity, the devotion of the poetry and the music.
One thing that's very clear is maybe not as obvious to people is that we share a lot of same heritage, and our music has a lot in common, as well as our languages. So in that sense, going back and forth is kind of a resembles or reminds us of what, you know, took place in history to shape all the cultures in that area, and that was a lot of exchanges both in terms of economy and culturally. So yes, it is in a way kind of tracing a Silk Road and kind of taking that center which is, you know, common to all of us in that region.
First time being in Sevilla, yeah. You know, it's a really great culture. And of course, flamenco music, of course, most people know, you know, it has a very strong connection to music of India, Rajasthani gypsy music. So yeah, there's a close link, and of course, you know, the Arab influence in this part of the world. I think in many ways our cultures are very similar.
And I think the feeling is mutual, because in Iran, actually, flamenco and Spanish music is one of the most popular form of music.
It's very difficult to be living in America right now because, of course, you know, I don't support American foreign policy at all. And especially, you know, being Iranian and having just constantly, I've lived there for 20 years and constantly being presented in such a negative light in the media, it's very difficult. And now to be referred to as a country like an axis of evil. The biggest problem in America is people have a very hard time to separate the people from the government. So every time they're showing these negative images of the governments, it doesn't matter if it's Iran or Iraq or wherever, the people, they just kind of lump the people along with the governments. Because I always tell Americans, if people judged you based on the image that your government sends out there, it's a horrible image that they would have of Americans. So that's why I said that yesterday, because I think, you know, when you are an artist, you have that power to influence people, to show them the possibility of something. And for those few minutes that we are on that stage, I think it's important to remind people that there are very positive things that come from the Middle East.